Hi everyone, my name is Liz I Read and welcome to another video. So today is a book haul and I have so many books to share with you. I've been putting off this video for a really long time. I have 60 plus books, so we're gonna be here for a little while. So maybe get a little snack, I don't know. I kind of organized them, I kind of did not. We're just gonna go through them one at a time. So let's get started. I have some historical romances, I have some contemporary romances, I have some YA fantasy, I have all over the map. Okay, I think we're gonna start with some YA fantasy. First one I have to show you is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This was super popular a few years back and I just never got around to reading it, and I'm very excited to own it. I don't know when I'm gonna get to it. All I know, it's YA fantasy and I think it's like African inspired, and it says Zelly remembers when the soil hummed with magic. Burners ignited flames, tiders beckoned waves, and Zelly's mother summoned forth souls, but everything changed once magic disappeared. And I think she goes and finds magic and she teams up with a prince, something like that. But I am excited to get to it when I can. I picked up The Hunger Games. I found like this wonderful copy secondhand. It's in such good condition. It's like basically brand new. I don't know, I really want to start collecting some like classic or famous YA books because I just love YA so much, and I did read this like forever ago. It's been a really long time since I've read it, but I just thought like it'd be kind of nice to have a copy of this. So I saw it, I grabbed it, I couldn't resist, it was super cheap, so I now own this. Next, I did pick up Midnight Sun by Stephanie Meyer. This is like book 5 in the Twilight series. It's the most recent book that came out last year in 2020, and I haven't read it. I'm not sure if I will. I'm not sure. And like I've been debating whether I should like reread Twilight or not in order to get to this, but then I think if I reread the whole series, I may burn out by the time I get to this book. So I thought like it might just be fun to read it as is, since it is like a retelling of book 1 basically, but from like Edward's perspective. That's what I've heard. So I'm tempted to just read this and without having reread this series, or maybe just like watch the movies and then get to this. But I own it. I kind of bought it on a whim and I just like wondered why I did that. Again, I thought about picking up like the Twilight books just to own and have on my bookshelves because I did love them when I read them forever ago. So here we go, got Midnight Sun. I also picked up A Court of Silver Flames. I've only started reading this series this year. I read A Court of Thorns and Roses, Mist and Fury, and the other one, I don't remember. But this is book 4 in that series, and I'm in the middle of it. I put it down for a really long time, and I'm about to pick it up either today or tomorrow. So I will be getting to this and finishing it off. I am really enjoying it. It's really good. It's just super long, that's all. And not lastly, but fifthly, I got Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. I got Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo, and this is book 2 in the King of Scars duology, or Nikolai's duology, and this is book, I can never remember, 7 in the Grishaverse, and I really enjoyed this installment. I enjoyed it a lot. If you don't know, like Shadow and Bone, we follow Lena, and Alina has light powers in the Grishaverse, and Six of Crows duology is a bunch of a group of people who go on a heist, and this one is Nikolai's duology, who is the King of Ravka. So yeah, I really loved it and I'm glad to add it to my bookshelf. I have a bunch of YA contemporary. So I have 3 books, all by Brandy Colbert. I don't know anything about these books, but I get the sense that they're all hard-hitting. So the first one is Point, and it says, Theo is better now. She's eating again, dating guys who are almost appropriate, and well on her way to becoming an elite ballet dancer. But when her oldest friend, Donovan, returns home after spending 4 long years with his kidnapper, Theo starts reliving memories about his abduction and abductor. So, very hard-hitting. Got Finding Yvonne. Yvonne has had her trusted violin to keep her company for years, especially in those lonely days after her mom walked out on her family. But with graduation just around the corner, she might not be good enough to be accepted into a music conservatory after high school. I kind of like the theme of like arts, hard-hitting with arts. It's really good. And finally, Little and Lion. When Suzette comes home to LA from her boarding school in New England, she doesn't want to go back. LA is where her friends and family are, and her stepbrother, Lionel, who has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, needs her around for emotional support. Lots of hard-hitting topics there, but they all sound so good. I also have Tyler Johnson Was Here by J. Coles, and this cover is beautiful. Again, I'm sorry, I don't like know much about these books. I just picked them up because I found them for a really good price, and I've seen people read them before. Twins Marvin and Tyler couldn't be more different. When Marvin is reserved, Tyler is charismatic. But despite their differences and despite the poverty and trauma that threatened to pull them apart, the brothers are close. Okay, I got American Street by Ivy Zaboy, and I know this takes place in Detroit. So I think it's about U.S. immigration. She's moving from Haiti to America, and she's navigating a new life with her extended family. But I think the thing that I was excited for was like a romance. And so even though it's hard-hitting, I think there will be some lighter elements in this one. Keeping on the hard-hitting theme, I did pick up Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. I just recently read The Hate You Give, so I'm very excited to pick up this one. It is a signed copy, which I'm just thrilled about. It's a basic cover, but the illustration is just beautiful. So this is a prequel to The Hate You Give, where we follow Maverick, which is Star's father. The Hate You Give is a story about Star, and she witnesses her best friend being shot by a police officer and the fallout with that. And this one is about her father, and it's, I think, about him becoming a father at a really young age. So I'm excited to get to this. On a lighter note, I found Fangirl. Never read Fangirl before, and I found it secondhand. It's not like the best copy, but I've never read it before, and I know people love it. It's kind of older title now when it comes to YA. Published in 2013, so it's like 8 years now. I think she writes fan fiction, and she's starting her first year in university, and it's a contemporary love story, and that's all I know. But I think it's about her adjusting to university. I'm gonna move on to some middle grade. I did pick up the box set of Percy Jackson. I've never read this series before, ever. But I thought it'd be interesting to get to this series. So it comes with The Lightning Thief, The Sea of Monsters, The Titan's Curse, The Battle of the Labyrinth, and The Last Magician. And I think Percy is like a son of a god. I don't know much about Greek mythology, but this is a good way to introduce me, so that's for sure. I think I bought this at Christmas time because it was on sale, so I have this to get to at some point. And then I picked up two other middle grade books that I read somewhere where they're kind of reminiscent of Harry Potter, and I feel like I'm missing another book now that I think about it. Oh well, I have The Legend of Greg, an epic series of failures. Greg is content with being ordinary. The problem is Greg isn't ordinary. He's actually an honest-to-goodness, fantastical dwarf. That's cute. And then Knights of the Boreal Dark. In storybooks, orphans are rescued from drudgery, but in real life, orphans are just kids without parents. At least that's what Denzin thought. Then one night, a mysterious man arrives and promises to take Denzin to meet a long-lost aunt. But on the ride into the city, they are attacked. Denzin soon learns that monsters can grow out of the shadows in our world. Sounds like Harry Potter to me, so I'm excited to get to these. It sounds so fun. I really do like a good middle grade, so here we go. Next, I think I'm gonna go to some YA fantasy. I picked up these two books. I thought they were part of a series, but they're not. The covers are just similar, and they're, if I can hold them straight, they're by the same author. I don't think I can say their names. So this one is The Forgotten Book, and this one we follow Emma, and she's used to things going her way, and she finds an old book in the library that's abandoned, and things really start going her way. Anything she writes in the book comes true, and that sounds really good. So there's that. And then I also have The Book Jumper, which I thought one was kind of like a retelling. This one, we follow Amy, and she doesn't quite know what to expect when she and her mother pick up and leave Germany for Scotland. Amy's grandmother insists that Amy must read while she resides. It turns out that Amy is a book jumper, able to leap into a story and interact with the world inside. That sounds so fun. That's why I liked these ones, because it sounded like they were like involving magic in books. This one is, I think, a Pride and Prejudice retelling. There's someone who's determined to take the book from her. The arrogant, aloof, and irritatingly handsome Darcy becomes Emma's unlikely ally. That sounds fun. I love a good Pride and Prejudice retelling, and I love magic in books and like jumping into books and things like that. So I'm excited for these. I got The Knife of Never Letting Go. This is like the movie tie-in. I heard the movie wasn't good. I've heard the series is good. It's a dystopian. There's no women, I believe, and the men or young boys communicate with each other. Like everyone can like see what you're thinking. Your thinking is verbalized, or somehow people can know what you're saying or thinking in your head. But then a woman does come one day to meet someone who should not exist, a girl. And it's the first in a trilogy, so I have this. I also have Beautiful Darkness. I have Beautiful Creatures? Yes, that's book 1, and I think this is book 2. It is. I just know it's like a paranormal YA, probably romance. And I thought, well, I found book 2. I can, read it after I read book 1. So I have this. And then I got City of Bones. Again, I'm like wanting to collect, I don't call this retro, but like some classic YA, and so I got City of Bones. I've already read this before, and I kind of have like a love-hate relationship with Cassandra Clare. I kind of like love some of her books and not like some other ones. But I remember really liking this, so I'm happy to have this on my bookshelf. Before we go to the adult romances, I have 2 books here. I didn't know what stack to put them in, but I got Little Flowers Everywhere by Celeste Ng. I don't know if I'll ever read this, but it's so short. Like, I don't see why I can't. But I just know everyone has read this, and I think it's kind of like a thriller, and I know they made it into movies, so that's kind of why I picked it up, because I thought, well, maybe I'll read it and watch the show. And I know the show has Reese Witherspoon in it, and I've heard amazing things about this, and the TV show, it's just like, this is not the type of book I would normally read, so I don't think it's that much of a thriller. I think it's more like literary fiction, if anything, but I did pick it up. And this one, I have An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green. I've been meaning to read this at some point. I've heard amazing things. It's kind of like a contemporary sci-fi. There's some sci-fi elements, but it's not like true sci-fi. And I believe this girl, she finds like a robot or something, and a video is captured of her discovering it. That video goes viral on the internet. And it's more about the fallout of her getting slightly famous on the internet and what that's actually like. So I do want to read it. I think my husband read it and really liked it. And I think there's a sequel. So I'm excited to get to this at some point. So I do have some romances by some Black authors. Here we go. That I'm excited to get to at some point. I have The Wedding Day by Jasmine Guillory. I'm excited to get to this at some point because I know there's like a few in this series. I think it is fake dating at a wedding. I think it's like his ex's wedding, and he doesn't have a date, and he just meets this woman on the elevator, and he asks if she would come with him to this wedding and pretend to be together, and she agrees, and it's their love story. So if I like this, there's other books in this series, and I know Jasmine Guillory has quite a few titles, so I have this. Next, I need to look some of these titles up because some of these are part of series, and I do this thing where I buy books that are sequels, and I need to stop doing that because that's weird. But Some of these are sequels. So anyways, okay, so this is book 3 in the Shades of Love series. This is written by Tracy Livesey. After waking from a coma, Leighton can't remember anything from the past 6 years. She's stunned when her doctors inform her she has amnesia. The only person who elicits any feelings is Jonathan, a gorgeous chef with compassionate brown eyes, who happens to be her fiance. Well, that sounds super cute. And then another book I have from the same author is Sweet Talkin' Lover. And I believe this is book 1 in this series. So marketing manager Celia gets one final chance to prove herself, shut down an unprofitable factory in small southern town. But as soon as she arrives in Braddleton, she meets one outsized problem, the town's gorgeous mayor. Oh, that sounds so cute. So I have this one. And then I grabbed a bunch of Brenda Jackson, and this is the problem with buying sequels. These are all like sequels in one series. And I know I probably don't have to read them in order, but I'm the type of person who like must for some reason. I've made that mistake in the past where I've read book 2 in a series and been lost, even within romance. So these are like books 12, 13, 14, 15 in the Medeiros family saga. 12 is The Midnight Hour. 13 is Unfinished Business. 14 is Slow Burn. 15 is Taste of Passion. So at some point I'll have to get books 1 in this series, but I do really want to try Brenda Jackson because I know she has a ton of titles and she's been writing for a very long time, and I know she mostly writes Harlequins, and for some reason I get a sense that maybe like these don't feel like Harlequin, but maybe the earlier titles are. I don't know how it all works, but I have these and I do want to start with book 1. Okay, I got some adult contemporary romances. Again, I did this thing where I bought a sequel. So this is The Protector. This is book 4 in the games people play. So I will have to get book 1 at some point. I also have Moonlight Seduction by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I think this is book 2, but I've heard of Jennifer L. Armentrout. She's a famous romance writer. So I will have to get book 1 at some point. Speaking of sequels, I have Well Played. I have read Well Met and loved it, so I picked up book 2 so I can get to it this month. This takes place in a Renaissance fair, and we follow Stacy, and it's her love story, and we were introduced to her in book 1. She was the side character in book 1, but now this is her story, so I'm excited to get to this. I picked out My Not So Perfect Life by Sophie Kinsella. I'm not quite sure if this is like a romance, but Sophie Kinsella, and there's usually a romantic element. It reads more like women's fiction or chick lit, and I always love her books. They're always so funny, and I feel like we follow this woman. Her life has kind of fell apart, and it's about her trying to create a new life for herself, and I think she helps maybe her family run a business or something like that. So got that, and I got No Judgments by Meg Cabot. I'll be honest, I haven't heard great things about this book. I'm tempted to try Meg Cabot again. I really loved Princess Diaries, like I think a lot of people do. But then I tried reading some of her adult romances and I wasn't a fan. So I kind of wrote her off, but I saw this secondhand, so I'm like, you know what, let's just give it a try. So we follow Bree. She needs to start over, and she leaves Manhattan for Little Bridge, which is a tiny island in the Florida Keys. And then I think there's a hurricane, and she falls in love during the hurricane. Maybe? Something like that. Okay, moving on. I have some paranormal romances or urban fantasy. Some paranormal romances. Again, I have another sequel, so I'll have to someday get the first one. How to Seduce a Vampire Without Really Trying by Carolyn Sparks. That just sounds so campy and fun. So this is book like, I don't know, 100 or something. So I'll have to find book 1, but then eventually get to this at some point. I picked up some books from the Suki Stackhouse series. I really want to get to this series. I already have, I think, books 1 and 3. And so I found some other ones secondhand so I can binge them. They're not all the correct order. 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I don't have book 6. So book 4 is Dead to the World. These are all written by Charlene, I think, Harris. This is like the TV show tie-in, as you can tell. I haven't watched the show. I do want to at some point. I think after I read these books. I have to say I think the illustrated copies, I can have a mixture of them. So book 5 is Dead as a Doornail. 7 is Altogether Dead. From Dead to Worse, I'm losing count, is 8, and then 9 is Dead and Gone. I think it's just Suki lives in a small town and like she's a waitress. And she learns that there are vampires and there's romances that happen, which just sounds like a good time to me. I have 2 urban fantasy adult, I'm assuming possibly romances, written by female authors. So that gets me really excited. I've heard of these authors before. I just never read anything by them. I got Magic Bites, which is written by Ilana Andrews. We follow Kate Daniels. I think this is like the Kate Daniels series. So Kate Daniels is a down on her luck mercenary, makes her living cleaning up magical problems. But when Kate's guardian is murdered, her quest for justice draws her into a power struggle between 2 strong factions. That sounds fun. I think it's an urban fantasy, but maybe not. Maybe it's a full-fledged fantasy. But I really want to try it. And then I got Chloe Neal, Wild Hunger, Chicagoland series. Elisa, as the only vampire child ever born, with the magic that helped bring her into the world, left her with a dark secret. Shifter Connor is the only one she trusts with it. That sounds so fun. That sounds so amazing. I'm excited for that. Okay, now I have a bunch of historicals. Got some random singles here that are probably part of series. I got The Other Miss Bridgerton by Julia Quinn. I know this is part of it's a Bridgerton prequel, but there's other books in this series. So this is book 3 in the Roxby's series. I still need to read the Bridgerton series and I haven't, but I have this. I only picked it up because I saw someone else get it on BookTube, but it's Bound to a Warrior. It just looks so fun, by Donna Fletcher, and I think they are chained together and they fall in love, which is fun. And then I found a Joanna Lindsey. I don't know if I've read any of Joanna Lindsey's, but oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, that looks so good. This is book 2 in the Shepherd's Knights series. But that setback is just, I don't know, it's just hilarious. I got 2 Lisa Kleypas books. Devil in Winter. This is book 3 in the Wallflower series. No setback for this one. And then I also have Devil in Spring, which you think maybe they're part of the same series, like Devil in Spring, but Devil in Winter. No, this is book 3 in the Ravenels. Or Ravenels. So that's pretty. I like that. And then I got 2 Lindsay Sands books. This is a standalone, I'm pretty sure. A Lady in Disguise. It used to be published as The Reluctant Reformer, so I don't know, but there's that one. And then I have Devil of the Highlands. There he is with his sword. This is book 1 in the Devil of the Highlands series, so there you go. I got 3 books in the London Underground series written by Eva Leigh. So book 1 is From Duke Till Dawn. Book 2 is Counting on a Countess. And then 3 is Dare to Love a Duke. And I think it's just the 3. So this is the entire trilogy for that series. I have some books in the Wilds of Lindell Castle series. I have books 1, 2, and 4. So book 1 is Wildland Love, all written by Louisa James. Sorry. There's a little picture on the back there. I got Too Wild to Wed, and there is a setback there. Cute. And then book 4 is Say No to the Duke. And there's that one there. And then finally, I have 2 books in the School for Dukes series. I have books 1 and 2. So book 1 is What a Difference a Duke Makes. And then book 2 is For the Duke's Eyes Only. So those are all the books. I'm so tired. I've been filming 40 minutes. So those are all the books I got recently over the past several months. Like this is like maybe 6 months in the making. So I would love to know if you've read any of these books before. If you have, please comment down below. I'd love to have a conversation with you. If you have any recommendations, please leave them down below. I'd love to know what you think I would like. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. If you have not done so, you can follow me on Goodreads and Twitter. And you know what? I want you to keep reading. Bye.